In 1983, amid the dusty sprawl of Albuquerque, New Mexico, $31,900,000 in cold, hard cash vanished from the fortified safe of General Harlan Thorpe. It seemed impossible. The vault was nestled in his private office on Kirtland Air Force Base, guarded by layers of military protocol, cameras and round-the-clock patrols, but the money evaporated without a trace, leaving only echoes of betrayal in its wake. Before we dive deeper into this web of deception, consider this. What happens when the guardians of secrets become the thieves? The year was 1983, a time when the Cold War's shadow loomed large over the American Southwest. Albuquerque, nestled in Bernalillo County, was a hub of military activity, with Kirtland Air Force Base serving as a critical node in the nation's defense network. The base sprawled across 51,000 acres of arid desert terrain, dotted with hangars, barracks and administrative buildings constructed in the stark, functional style of mid-century military architecture. Concrete bunkers reinforced with steel, flat roofs baking under the relentless New Mexico sun. At the heart of this complex stood the command headquarters, a three-story edifice with barred windows and razor-wire fencing. General Thorpe's office occupied the top floor, accessible only via a secured elevator or a stairwell monitored by armed sentries. The room itself was austere, dark oak desk cluttered with classified memos, a worn leather chair facing a window overlooking the Sandia Mountains, fluorescent lights casting harsh shadows on linoleum floors scuffed from years of boot traffic. The air carried the faint scent of gun oil and stale coffee, punctuated by the distant hum of aircraft engines. Tucked into a reinforced alcove behind a false panel was the safe, a Mosler Class 6 vault, measuring 6 feet high by 4 feet wide by 3 feet deep, weighing in at a formidable 2 tons. Crafted from manganese steel with a drill-resistant door, it featured a mechanical combination lock backed by an electronic keypad requiring dual-factor authentication. A physical key and a rotating code changed weekly. Inside, the cash was stored in sealed canvas bags, each weighing approximately 20 kilograms, stacked neatly on steel shelves. These funds weren't ordinary reserves. They stemmed from covert operations, slush funds for black budget projects, including off-the-books payments to informants in Central America amid the escalating Contra scandals. Rumors whispered through the ranks. Some of it was siphoned from corrupt dealings with local suppliers, funneled into the safe under the guise of operational contingencies. Why here? The general's office offered deniability, personal oversight masked as security, away from the base's main finance vault, which was subject to stricter audits. Security protocols were ironclad, or so they seemed. CCTV cameras covered the hallways, with feeds looping to a central monitoring station manned by 2 guards per shift. Access required keycard swipes, logged in duplicate, 1 digital record and a handwritten ledger initialed by entrance. Patrols circled the building every 30 minutes, with overlapping shifts ensuring no blind spots. Parking lots were gated, vehicles logged, and night lighting flooded the perimeter. Yet, in a system built on trust and hierarchy, cracks could form, corruption risks loomed in the form of underpaid personnel, personal vendettas, and the allure of untraceable wealth. Aerial drone shots of Kirtland Air Force Base at dusk, cutting to archival footage of 1980s military drills, close-ups of a similar Mosler safe being demonstrated, with annotations on its specs. General Harlan Thorpe was 55, a grizzled veteran with 25 years in the Air Force, rising from a fighter pilot in Vietnam to base commander. His face, etched with lines from desert winds and classified burdens, projected authority, steel gray hair cropped short, piercing blue eyes that missed nothing. Born in rural Texas, he'd clawed his way up through sheer grit, earning medals for valor but harboring a quiet resentment toward the bureaucracy that stalled his promotions. Financially secure on paper, Thorpe grappled with a crumbling marriage and a son in college, debts mounting from alimony and gambling habits he'd picked up in officers' clubs. If I'm honest, he often thought in the quiet hours, staring at the safe, these funds are just shadows, necessary evils in a world that demands them. His diary, later seized by investigators, revealed fragments. The weight of command is heavier than any vault. Sometimes I wonder if the real enemy is within. Lieutenant Marcus Reed, 32, served as Thorpe's aide-de-camp, a position granting him intimate access to codes and keys. Slim and unassuming, with wire-rimmed glasses and a perpetual nervous tic, fidgeting with his pen, Reed had joined the military to escape a dead-end life in Albuquerque's barrios. 10 years in, he was disillusioned, passed over for promotions, buried in debt from a sick mother's medical bills. His role involved logging safe accesses, duplicating journals, and occasionally handling sensitive transfers. Psychologically, Reed was a pressure cooker, loyal on the surface but seething with envy. An intercepted note from his journal read, "The general sits on a fortune while I scrape by. What if one small act could change everything?" He confided in no one, but his late-night calls to an unknown number hinted at deeper ties. The organizer, Victor Salazar, 48, was a ghost from the military's past, a dishonorably discharged sergeant turned local enforcer in Albuquerque's underworld. Broad-shouldered with a scarred face from a bar fight, Salazar ran a small syndicate dealing in black market arms, leveraging his old contacts. His motive? Revenge against the system that ousted him for insubordination. During a botched op financially strapped after a failed venture, he saw the heist as redemption. "They took my honor," he'd mutter to himself in his dingy apartment, "now I'll take their gold." Salazar's network included ex-cons and insiders, but he operated in shadows, his communications cryptic. A payphone drop here, a coded message there. Then there was the unexpected witness, Elena Vargas, 45, a civilian janitor on base with night shifts. A single mother of two, she blended into the background, short, sturdy, with calloused hands from years of scrubbing. Her life was routine, clock in at 10 p.m., clean offices out by dawn. But her sharp eyes caught anomalies, driven by a survival instinct honed in poverty-stricken neighborhoods. No criminal intent, just quiet observation. Her family depended on the steady paycheck, yet moral qualms nagged her. "I see things," she'd whisper to her sister over coffee, but speaking up could cost everything. Tense strings building as we fade to black and white reenactments of character introductions. The heist unfolded on the night of July 15, 1983, under a moonless New Mexico sky. At 1:45 a.m., the base was hushed, save for the occasional coyote howl echoing from the desert. Night patrol logged the headquarters clear. Guard Ramirez initialed the journal at his post, duplicating the entry in the digital log. Reed, on overtime duty, had swapped shifts earlier, citing illness in the roster, a minor discrepancy overlooked in the fatigue of graveyard hours. By 2:12 a.m. Salazar's team approached. A nondescript van, plates swapped from a junkyard, parked in the shadowed lot under a faulty light, sabotaged earlier with a slingshot pebble. Tools were minimal, electromagnetic jammer for cameras, a duplicate keycard cloned from Reed's via a skimmed signal, and adhesive straps for silent entry. Reed, inside, disabled the office alarm at 2:27 a.m., inputting the code, July 1983, tied to the general's wedding anniversary for personal security. The safe opened at 2:31 a.m. with a soft click. The mechanical dial spun precisely, the electronic pad accepting Reed's thumbprint override. Inside, 1,595 bags of cash, each 20 kilograms, totaling the haul. The transfer took 14 minutes. Salazar's two accomplices, masked and gloved, swapped genuine bags with weighted dummies filled with sand and paper, maintaining the vault's balance to avoid triggering sensors. Reed monitored the door, heart pounding. This is it, he thought, sweat beading, no turning back. The dummies were prepped in a warehouse, sealed identically to fool cursory checks. Transport was swift. A small electric cart, typically for mail, ferried bags to the van in 3 trips, each under 5 minutes. By 2:45 a.m., the safe was resealed, journals backdated to show no entry. The van slipped out at 2:52 a.m., using a service gate Reed had left unlocked. Normal procedures, dual sign-offs, camera reviews, were bypassed via Reed's admin access, erasing 20 minutes of footage with a looped feed. But cracks emerged. At 3:10 a.m. Vargas, mopping the hall, noticed a faint scuff on the linoleum, rubber from the cart's wheels, not standard issue. She paused, cigarette butt in the ashtray still warm, an unfamiliar brand. No one heard. No one saw. Yet the safe had been breached. According to base logs, the following morning Thorpe's routine check at 8 a.m. revealed nothing amiss. The weight felt right, the seals intact. Tension built as whispers spread. Was there a dead guard? No, but Ramirez reported a glitch in his radio at 2:30 a.m. jammed signal. Open questions loomed. Where was the cash routed? Who coordinated the dummy's creation? Did an institution turn a blind eye? Reenactment of the heist in dim lighting, slow-motion close-ups of the safe dial turning, intercut with maps tracing the van's escape route. Another twist surfaced in interviews. Salazar's van hit a pothole en route, dislodging a single $100 bill, later found by a jogger, serial number tracing back to Federal Reserves. But why leave it? Panic, perhaps. Read Psychology frayed. Post-heist he scribbled in his journal, "The money's gone but the guilt weighs more." Thorpe, sensing unease, confided to an aide, "Something's off, the air feels heavier." Moral dilemmas clashed. Reed's betrayal versus family needs, Salazar's vendetta against systemic rot. Archival note: FBI received an anonymous tip at 9:15 a.m. on July 16. Check the general's shadows. The base's atmosphere thickened. Smells of burnt tobacco in empty rooms, ticks of an antique clock in Thorpe's office marking unspoken suspicions. Political context amplified it. Reagan-era military spending bred corruption, trust eroded by scandals like Iran-Contra precursors. Yet another revelation. During the swap, an old medal, Thorpe's Vietnam Cross, tumbled from a bag left behind in the rush. A careless artifact or deliberate clue? Vargas, the witness, debated reporting the scuff. "If I speak, my kids eat from welfare," she agonized. "But silence makes me complicit." As dawn broke on July 16, Thorpe opened the safe for a transfer, and stared in horror. Empty dummies spilled out. But the real twist? An anonymous envelope in his home mailbox that evening, postmarked locally, coordinates scribbled inside, pointing to a desert cache. "If they find me dead," his diary entry that night read, "Search here first." What awaited in the sands? As the sun rose over the Sandia Mountains on July 16, 1983, General Harlan Thorpe stood in his dimly lit home study, the anonymous envelope trembling in his hands. Coordinates scrawled in block letters pointed to a remote spot in the New Mexico desert. 35 degrees 2 minutes north, 106 degrees 36 minutes west. It was a taunt or perhaps a trap, but in the world of covert funds and hidden betrayals, nothing was ever straightforward. What drives a man to chase ghosts in the sand when his empire crumbles? Let's uncover the layers of the investigation that followed. The immediate aftermath thrust Albuquerque into a quiet storm. Kirtland Air Force Base, usually a bastion of order, buzzed with restrained urgency. Military police cordoned off the headquarters by 9 a.m., their Humvees blocking access roads lined with chain-link fences topped by barbed wire. The command building's third floor became a crime scene. Forensic teams in white suits dusted for prints under the glare of portable lights, the air thick with the chemical tang of luminol and the low murmur of radios. Outside, the parking lot, gravel crunching under boots, held reporters at bay behind yellow tape, their cameras capturing the stark contrast of desert scrub against concrete bunkers. The FBI's Albuquerque field office, a squat federal building downtown with tinted windows and rooftop antennas, took lead on the civilian angle. Agents arrived by noon, their black sedans blending into the midday heat haze. Why federal involvement so swift? The cache wasn't just military slush. Intercepts suggested ties to national security, funds allegedly funneled from CIA operations in Latin America, laundered through base accounts. Corruption risks amplified. Audits revealed discrepancies in procurement logs, hinting at kickbacks from contractors. The safe's contents, per classified memos, included not only cash but bearer bonds, untraceable instruments perfect for off-books dealings. Security lapses came under scrutiny. The CCTV feeds, stored on bulky VHS tapes in a locked room, showed the looped anomaly, 20 minutes of static hallway footage repeated seamlessly. Journals, duplicated in carbon copy books, bore Reed's initials, but ink analysis later flagged inconsistencies in pressure, suggesting forgery. Patrol schedules, printed on dot matrix paper, confirmed Ramirez's rounds, yet his radio log noted that glitch at 2:30 a.m. The base's perimeter, patrolled by jeeps with mounted spotlights, had no breaches reported, but tire tracks near the service gate matched a common Ford van model. Grainy 1980s security footage recreations, intercut with maps of the base layout, close-ups of forged journal entries under magnification. The investigation expanded characters' orbits, revealing deeper fractures. General Thorpe, now under internal review, retreated to his off-base ranch, a modest adobe home with terracotta tiles and a view of the Rio Grande. At 55, his career teetered. Interrogations in a windowless room probed his habits. "I trusted the system," he told agents, voice steady but eyes distant. Financial woes surfaced. Bank statements showed $50,000 in unexplained withdrawals over months, tied to casino debts in Las Vegas. Psychologically, Thorpe wrestled with paranoia. "Who knows my secrets?" He'd jot in his diary, pages filled with cryptic sketches of the safe. Family strained. His wife, Evelyn, 52, filed for separation amid rumors of affairs, her interviews laced with bitterness. Harlan lived for the uniform, but it consumed him. Lieutenant Reed, the internal linchpin, cracked under pressure. Holed up in base quarters, a Spartan dorm with metal lockers and fluorescent hum, he was detained at 1400 hours p.m. on July 16. Age 32, his background check unearthed a $20,000 debt to local loan sharks, plus hospital bills for his mother. As aide, he held duplicate keys, changed weekly via a sealed envelope system. His psych profile, anxiety-driven with therapy notes from a VA counselor noting moral flexibility under stress. In custody, Reed's monologue spilled. "I needed the escape," he confessed in a taped session, "but now the walls close in." A search of his locker yielded a burner phone, calls traced to Salazar's haunts. Victor Salazar, the shadowy organizer, went underground. His Albuquerque bolt hole, a rundown warehouse in the industrial district smelling of oil and rust, was raided at dawn on July 17. At 48, his criminal record spanned arms dealing and extortion, his discharge papers citing conduct unbecoming. Motives intertwined, revenge against Thorpe, who'd signed his ousting papers years prior. Financial desperation peaked. Tax liens on his properties totaled $100,000. Associates described him as calculating. "Vic plans like a chess master," one snitch said. His psychology, a mix of bravado and regret, evident in a seized letter to an ex. "This score settles old debts, but what about the new ones?" Elena Vargas, the unexpected witness, emerged as a reluctant key. Her modest apartment in the South Valley, cluttered with kids' toys and laundry, became an interview site. At 45, she balanced janitorial shifts with motherhood, her calloused hands testament to grit. No prior record, but her observation of the scuff and warm cigarette but proved pivotal. Moral dilemma weighed heavy. Report and risk deportation threats? She pondered, family from Mexico adding vulnerability. In a tearful statement, "I saw the mark, smelled the smoke, foreign brand not ours." Her testimony shifted timelines, narrowing suspects. Somber piano underscoring witness recreations, fading to archival photos of 1980s FBI agents. The desert night of July 25, 1983, swallowed the tire tracks of Victor Salazar's van, leaving FBI agents standing in an empty arroyo under a starless New Mexico sky. A torn journal page, its ink matching General Harlan Thorpe's pen, lay discarded in a shack. "The witness talks too much. If exposed, end it." The words hung like a noose, tightening questions around the heist's true architect. Was Thorpe, the decorated commander, pulling strings all along? What happens when trust in the system collapses, and every answer breeds new shadows? Let's unravel the final threads of the Albuquerque heist. By late July, Kirtland Air Force Base was a fortress under siege, not by enemies abroad but by suspicion within. The command headquarters, once a symbol of military precision, now crawled with investigators. FBI agents and windbreakers, military police with clipboards and forensic teams sweeping for trace evidence. The air carried the sharp sting of cleaning solvent and the low hum of generators powering floodlights. Outside, Albuquerque's media camped beyond the gates, their vans clogging the gravel lot, antennas swaying in the desert wind. The city itself felt the tremor. 1983 was a year of economic strain, with Reagan's military budgets fueling both pride and resentment. Corruption scandals, from local contractors to DC insiders, eroded public faith, and the heist became a lightning rod for distrust. The investigation intensified, its scope sprawling. The FBI's war room downtown, walls plastered with maps and timelines, smelled of stale pizza and desperation. Agent Carla Ruiz, 38, a 10-year veteran with a reputation for cracking financial crimes, coordinated efforts. Her team traced the heist's logistics. The van's backroad route, reconstructed via grainy gas station footage, led to a derelict airstrip 50 miles east. No planes were logged, but ruts suggested a small Cessna, possibly microaviation for cash extraction. The operation's precision screamed military training, pointing fingers back at the base. Security protocols, once deemed impenetrable, were dissected. The Mosler safe's dual locks, mechanical and electronic, required insider access. Journals, duplicated and triplicate, showed Reed's forged entries, but a deeper audit revealed Thorpe's initials on prior transfers unverified. CCTV tapes, stored in a fireproof vault, confirmed the looped feed, but a technician noted an override code traced to Thorpe's terminal. The service gate's log, handwritten in fading ink, showed an unregistered exit at 2:52 a.m., initialed by a guard now conveniently on leave. Reenactments of agents sifting through evidence. Close-ups of journal pages under UV light highlighting forged signatures. Aerial shots of the airstrip's ruts fading into desert. General Thorpe's world unraveled. At 55, his ranch became a prison of scrutiny, FBI sedans parked outside its adobe walls. Interrogations in a base conference room, sterile with a ticking clock, exposed cracks. Bank records showed $200,000 in offshore accounts, funneled through shell companies tied to base suppliers. His psychology teetered. Pride clashed with shame. I built this command, he'd scrawl in his diary, but the cost was my soul. His wife, Evelyn, now estranged, told agents, Harlan changed, late nights, locked doors, whispers about debts. A twist. A casino contact in Vegas reported Thorpe's $50,000 marker paid off days post-heist in cash. Lieutenant Marcus Reed, detained in a base holding cell, crumbled further. At 32, his gaunt frame and trembling hands betrayed sleepless nights. His confession, taped at 11 a.m. on July 26, detailed Salazar's approach. A bar meet in March, veiled threats, and a $100,000 promise. Reed's role, disable alarms, clone keycards, loop footage, was clear, but he swore blindness to the cash's destination. I just wanted out, he muttered, eyes downcast. A search of his mother's home found a hidden duffel. $10,000 in 20s, serial numbers matching the heist. Moral weight crushed him. I betrayed my oath for her hospital bills, but now what? Victor Salazar remained a phantom. His warehouse, raided again on July 28, yielded a burner phone with a single outgoing call, to a number linked to a base contractor. At 48, his motives mixed vengeance and greed, his syndicate fraying as informants flipped. A pawn shop tip on July 29 traced his engraved watch to a dealer who saw him board a bus to El Paso. Psychologically, Salazar was a paradox. Ruthless yet nostalgic, his letters lamenting lost honor. This was my war, he wrote, and I won the battle but not the peace. Elena Vargas, the janitor, became a linchpin. Her South Valley apartment, under police protection by July 27, buzzed with fear. At 45, her moral dilemma peaked. Testifying risked her family's safety, yet silence gnawed her conscience. On July 30, she handed Ruiz a microfilm strip, found in a trash bin near Thorpe's office, marked with coded numbers. I couldn't stay quiet, she told her sister, voice breaking. The film, analyzed by cryptographers, hinted at coordinates but decoding stalled. Tense cello underscoring Vargas's testimony reenactment, cutting to microfilm under a magnifying lens. The investigation's timeline accelerated. On August 1, 8 a.m., the microfilm's code cracked. Numbers matched a storage locker in Juarez, Mexico, across the border. A joint FBI-Policia federal raid at 1400 hours p.m. found $15 million in bonds, half the haul but no cash. Twist 1. A hidden camera in the locker captured Salazar, but with an unknown figure, military posture, face obscured. Was it Thorpe? August 3, 6:30 a.m. A sting operation at the El Paso bus terminal nabbed Salazar, haggard and unshaven, carrying a forged passport. His interrogation at 10 a.m. revealed fragments. He admitted planning but claimed a higher-up orchestrated the drop. Ask the general about his late-night calls, he sneered, offering no more. Thorpe's facade collapsed. On August 5, 9:15 a.m., a search of his ranch uncovered a burner phone in a locked drawer, its log matching Salazar's. Financial audits deepened. $10 million traced to a Cayman account, opened under a pseudonym linked to Thorpe's cousin. A second twist. The suicide mechanic's autopsy revisited August 6, confirmed murder, strangulation by someone right-handed like Thorpe. His diary's final entry dated July 31 read, If the truth comes, it ends with me. Per FBI records, a wiretap on August 4 captured Thorpe whispering, "The sands hide nothing now." Reed faced court-martial by August 10, charged with theft and treason. His plea, guilty, seeking leniency for cooperation. Vargas, granted immunity, relocated with her family under witness protection, her testimony sealing cases. Salazar, indicted for robbery and conspiracy, refused to name the higher-up, his silence bought or coerced. On August 15, 7 a.m., Thorpe was found dead in his ranch garage, carbon monoxide poisoning ruled suicide. A note typed read, "I protected the mission but not the men." The remaining $16.9 million never surfaced, likely scattered through black markets. A final twist. A groundskeeper days later found a buried tin near the ranch, containing a single bond and a photo of Thorpe with an unidentified man at the airstrip, dated July 14. The heist exposed rot, corruption in military procurement, unchecked power in command. Albuquerque's trust in its institutions frayed, headlines fueling national debates on oversight. Psychologically, the players paid. Reed, imprisoned, wrestled with guilt. Salazar, sentenced to 25 years, clung to defiance. Vargas, safe but haunted, started anew. The desert kept its secrets. No one heard the final deal. No one saw the last exchange. But the vault's echo lingered, a warning of shadows within. Fade out on the empty arroyo, wind-stirring dust. Archival clips of 1980s news reports, headlines flashing heist unsolved. Final shot of the tin bond glinting under sunlight. $31.9 M gone, in bold red, with a cracked safe and desert horizon, a red marker circling coordinates.